The new Ford Everest looks the part, but is it worth the spend? How good is it really off-road? And is the V6 worth the extra bucks? Keep watching, there is plenty you need to know about this big four-wheel drive. The Everest is a proper off-road wagon. Under the skin is a ladder frame architecture. It is exactly the same architecture that you get under a Ford Ranger Ute, but obviously it's got a large SUV body. Now size-wise, it is a little bit smaller than a Toyota Land Cruiser, but it does compete in some ways on price. Really though, its prime competitors, you're looking at Toyota Prado, Isuzu MU-X, and maybe a GWM Tank 500. Inside there are 9 airbags covering all 3 rows of seats, plus there's a range of driver assistance systems, from auto braking and lane keep assistance to blind spot warning, and it also has what Ford calls emergency assistance, which can automatically contact emergency services if the airbags are activated. The Everest is covered by a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. Servicing is required every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. The Everest is only available with diesel power. It starts with a 2-litre turbo 4-cylinder and then heads to this one, a 3-litre V6 turbo diesel. And it's this engine that really sets the car apart. In 2025, Ford announced it was dropping the 4-cylinder bi-turbo engine and replacing it with a single turbo version of that 2-litre unit. That means a step backwards on power. Or you can get the 3-litre V6 turbo diesel, which has a lot more grunt. That grunt is all about helping with towing, but it's also super smooth in the way it behaves. Now, both engines are hooked up to a 10-speed automatic, driving through all 4 wheels. Up front, there is a sensible mix of tradition and technology. You've got not only a digital instrument cluster, but a central infotainment screen, and interestingly, it's arranged in a portrait configuration, which gives you one advantage. You can actually run your phone, set up your phone apps, for example, on the top of the screen and still have your main controls down there. And impressively, it does have regular buttons, regular dials. So if you're bouncing around off-road, for example, you've got physical controls that makes it so much easier to adjust things like the ventilation or the volume. The seats are super comfy as well, and you obviously get that commanding view of the road. So from that perspective, it ticks the box. And as well as decent storage throughout, including a second glove box, you've also got a separate cluster of controls for the 4-wheel drive system. So it keeps them separate from your main driving controls. In the rear, there is also decent space and the same attention to detail that you get up front. It's not exactly limousine luxury, and certainly like the door opening and so on, you've got to work a little bit to get in and out, but there's plenty of space here. Of course, you've got this big transmission hump. It's part of the 4-wheel drive system, but one thing you can do, slide the seats backward and forward. So that 3rd row of seats, for example, you can trade off knee room up here compared with what's going on in the back. Like its rivals, there's not much luggage space if you're using all 7 seats, but fold the seats and things get a lot better back here. Anytime you've got a car that can devour serious off-road terrain, you end up with compromises, and it's no different with the Everest. That said, the compromises are far less than a lot of its rivals. It does an amazingly good job around the suburbs in everyday driving. It's pretty well sorted and pretty well suited, and it's also quiet and relaxed. And that makes a big difference on the open road. And for a car with this much ground clearance, sitting this high off the road, it actually doesn't wallow around too much. It's fairly stable and it's pretty well behaved. So that in itself is a big tick. That's in part because a lot of the development work, a lot of the engineering, the testing and so on was done in Australia for Australian conditions and in many ways to suit Australian tastes.
Let Motor Scout find the best deal on your new car. Select the car you're looking to purchase on our website. From there, Motor Scout will go to work for you, negotiating with all the dealerships in your area. And within hours, you'll receive the best prices and availability on your new car. Ready to get started? Simply visit motorscout.com.au or give us a call.
As for its off-road performance, the Everest is very good, and I'll sort of split this into 2 parts. I guess you've got the, maybe high range driving, faster sort of gravel roads and so on. On that sort of thing, it does a superb job. It's really well suited to it and feels nice and comfortable and confident as well. So it makes a big difference. In the really rough stuff, the slow speed stuff, okay, it's not quite at Land Cruiser levels, but it's not miles off it. One of the issues it's got is the traction control calibration. Sometimes it wants to spin a wheel up. It's not quite as smart as some of the ones out there, but that said, it's got the articulation, it's got the protection underneath, and when you start getting into it and start really pushing it, it steps up. The Everest is one of the standouts in the large four-wheel drive category, and the key there is four-wheel drive. It's got serious hardware, it is a serious off-roader, and it does heavy-duty towing. You've really got to use it for those sort of things to get the best out of it. That said, it's also pretty good on-road. It'll do the school run just fine, and really that's one of the big parts of its appeal, is that duality, the ability to do both, but don't forget heading out there.